What's up, everyone? It's Bones here. If you like buying cards and wouldn't mind helping a content creator out, feel free to use my TCG player affiliate link down below. It doesn't cost you anything to do so, except maybe an ounce of kindness. Continue on with the rest of Legacy of Destruction. I wanted to revisit the Yugi deck one more time, and I know that this may not look like it at first glance, but I just want to show off how you use the Melodious cards in the deck, and when you only draw Refrain, you're going to start by normal summoning it, then you're going to use its effect, which will grab ourselves the couplet, then you can activate the couplet, and now we'll use its effect on scale in order to get ourselves the concerto. Then we can activate the concerto as we'll then go into our bacha, and if you've watched my last couple of videos, this must look all too familiar, as this is why I'm not really reading the cards. I just want to kind of get all the combos out of the way, not make the content too redundant for the subscribers and such. But we're going to then be able to bring out our couplet via the bacha, use the effect of the Refrain, which will send another copy of Refrain, which is the last monster we play for this engine, as we're then going to be able to go into any link 2 here, and then we're going to use the effect of bacha, bringing back the Refrain along with the concerto in the graveyard, which will net us a draw. We can pendulum summon out our couplet, which will give us access into a 3 material Appaloosa. Now, if you do have an extra monster in the extra deck by any chance, you could have summoned the Refrain anywhere else and open yourself up an extra zone. Just the ability to get a 3 material Appaloosa here along with a draw for the Yugi deck when you're already playing a bunch of going second cards and consistency cards is pretty nice in my opinion. Now, this second one features Ostinato along with Gadget, and this one can really be Gadget or your Silence Towards the Future or whatever it's called, or even the Shining Sark, doesn't really matter, but we're going to start here with the Ostinato going into the bacha, use the effect of bacha to bring out the Refrain, use the effect of Refrain to add the couplet will activate in hand in order to revive another copy of Refrain, and from here we can then activate the couplet as we'll use its effect on scale, get its search effect for the concerto, then we can activate the concerto, we'll fusion summon away into our flowering with the concerto, so that we can then use the effect of bacha along with the 2 scales in the extra deck, which will be able to rescale themselves, as we'll then revive the couplet here, go into our IP Masquerena. You can also go into Beyond the Pendulum, whatever you want to do here, but we're then going to be able to pendulum summon out our 2 Melodious monsters, as we're then going to go into our Exceed the Pendulum, use the effect of Exceed the Pendulum, as we'll then grab the couplet, and from here we can use the effect of Exceed the Pendulum to special summon out the couplet so that we can go into our 2 material Appaloosa, normal summon the tricolor Gadget, and from here we can add ourselves the Shining Sarcophagus, activate the Shining Sarcophagus as we'll be able to get ourselves the Silence Towards the Future, then we can go into a link 2 or rank 4 here, so you have the ability to go into a Dweller or something like SP Little Knight, and then you can just set the Silence Towards the Future for follow-up. Now, I will like to point out that when you do go for Gandora, the really cool thing about the flowering is that the return is optional. You don't have to return anything in order to banish itself, so when you do go for the Gandora play, if you don't have anything else on board but the flowering, you can just banish itself and continue to play from there, as you'll see momentarily. So for this final combo, we have Ostinato along with Gadget again, and we're going to continue here by using the effect of Ostinato, which will be able to go into the bacha, use the effect of bacha, which will then be able to bring out a copy of Refrain, use the effect of Refrain in order to get ourselves a couplet, then we can activate the effect of couplet in hand, as we'll bring out a Refrain, then activate the couplet. From here we'll then be able to use the effect of couplet to get ourselves the concerto, and from here we'll be able to activate the concerto so that we can go into our flowering. So like I was mentioning before, with the ability to dodge the Gandora's destruction banish with the flowering, we're going to end up doing that as we're going to get our scales, and the scales don't really matter here as we're just going to go into our Hippo Shingen, and this is a really funny card in the deck, but I was trying to play around the Gandora destruction because this will end up leaving the field regardless, and this is something that can get you back your Silent Magician or your Silent Swordsman. If you're playing the more Marshmallow, you can also get that back, but there's just also other things that you can get like Valor and little things like your Melodious monsters, so really cool things that you can do with this, but we're going to continue here by getting ourselves the Shining Sarcophagus, and then we can activate the Shining as we'll be able to get ourselves the copy of Gandora now, and you always can get your Silence Towards the Future, whatever you want to do if you don't want to take this approach, but we're now going to use the effect of the flowering, banish itself, activate the Gandora in hand, use the effect of Gandora in hand, and this is why I said the scales didn't really matter here. It's because you're going to get rid of everything but the Shining Sark, and now we're going to be able to bring out the Silent Magician. You can summon it in attack if you would like to, but we'll also be able to get the effects of the concerto, effect of the Hippo Shingen, which will put back the bacha into the extra deck or any other light monster you would like to put back as we get our flowering back on board, and now we even have a couple of ways to protect our monsters from being attacked via the fortress that we get off of the Gadget, and then the flowering, which can just provide us a bounce, along with whatever else you may have in hand. So with all of the combos out of the way, we can get onto the deck profile, and this is somewhat similar to the pure version that I showed in my previous video, except that we have the 8 slots committed to the Melodious stuff instead of a bunch of other going second stuff. And you'll notice that we also play the Redoer as a rank 4. This is just another way to dodge your Gandora, as you have easy access into rank 4s with this deck since you're playing the Refrain with the gadget, being able to pendulum summon out and stuff. Of course, you also have your silent monsters, which you may not want to rank away with, but still, you have the opportunity to. Then we also have the base in the extra deck to run all this stuff, which is pretty convenient and doesn't make the deck feel like it's playing a bunch of extra deck slots that are just empty like the first build or the pure build that I showed previously. And then the side deck is something that you don't really have to worry about here. You can play whatever you want. I just put in a 5-minute side deck that I just came up with for the deck to have it for the video, but I just really wanted to show off the Melodious stuff in the Yugi deck. So with all of that out of the way, I'm just going to get onto the card by card, as I don't have too much else to say about the deck and I don't want to make repetitive content. So if you do want to learn more about the Yugi deck, I will leave a link in the description to a video dedicated to just that. And we have the 3 gadgets, we then have the 3 old Sarks, we then have the 3 copies of Silence, the 3 copies of Prosperity, which is good because you can search out your Ostinato, any of your Yugi starters. We then have the Thrust, which can do the same thing really with the Ostinato, and that's convenient. We then have our 2 copies of Refrain, our 2 copies of Couplet, our 3 copies of Ostinato, 1 Concerto, 2 Silent Swordsman, 2 Silent Magician, the 1 Fortress, which is optional. I just put it here to show that you can play it. You can play the second Gandora if you would like to. We then have the 2 copies of Turn Silence, the 3 copies of the Ash Blossom, the 3 copies of Valor, 1 Talents, 2 Thrust, the Imperms. Onto the extra deck, we have the Goddess, Access Code, Appaloosa, Exceed the Pendulum, Beyond the Pendulum, which you can make instead of IP Masquerena if you're going second in order to get pops when you go for those pendulum summons. Then we have the Hippo Shingen, which is for the Gandora combo in order to get back one of your lights. IP Masquerena, the SP Little Knight, Typhon, Zeus. We then have Dweller, number 41, Redoer, Flowering, and Bacha to round out the extra deck. Onto the side deck, we have the 3 Nibs, both spells, the 1 Duster, Cosmic Cyclones, which I feel is one of the best cards maybe this format, and maybe I'm overstating it, but I just feel like there's so much that you can hit between field spells. You also have continuous spells like the Nightmare Pain, and then you also have the Tenpai field spell. I guess I already said field spells, but just little things that you can interact with the Cosmic Cyclone that I feel is really good in this format. But then we have the 1 copy of Change of Heart and the 2 Mind Control. I chose these for the Thrust. Of course, you can play whatever else you want, whether it be Lightning Storms or whatever else you want to play. And then we have the 3 copies of Evenly to round out the deck profile. So for everyone who's made it this far, I'd like to thank you for watching and for the 700 plus subscribers. I truly appreciate your support. And now that we've monetized the channel, giving us access to supers and memberships means that more awesome stuff is on the horizon. To get the channel membership, just click on the description below and there will be a link that takes you there. You'll also notice a free Discord link that I've made for us too. If you want to support me as a content creator, even if you can't donate supers or get a membership for the channel, clicking on those thumbs up and subscribe buttons help a lot too. For those wondering, I do plan on making updates to the channel as the support on the channel grows. Anyways, I hope to see you on the next one. It's Bones, signing out.